Well, there's a big giant question out there in the Christian realms, and it's, is it okay to love people at a distance? Or do we have to love them up close?
Well, you could, but it may not be right. It may not be biblical. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Welcome to the Called to Love podcast, a show dedicated to exploring how human relationships and intimacy with God are connected. Join us as we discuss hard-hitting topics that inspire and motivate you to go deeper into the intricacies of building meaningful relationships. Here now are your hosts, James Levisee and Brian Knoedl.
You know, I can understand after all that I have been through, the hurts, the pains, the disappointments, the just outright no regard for my well-being, how people could say, you don't have to love people up close. You can love them afar. I get that. I can understand how that would be a popular topic. I'm hearing that more and more. I've been hearing it for years. And for a long time, I sympathized with it. I was like, yeah, you know, that's right. I don't have to risk my life anymore. I don't have to lay my life down anymore. You know what? I can protect myself from being hurt. I can be guarded from now on. And I can pick and choose who I'm going to really be close to. Man, I like that. That'll preach right there. Let's hear more of that preaching. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, people have that. Those who've lived long enough have had life events. They've had divorce. They've had tragedy. They've had death. They've had betrayal from friends. They've had all kinds of things. And because relationships can be so wonderful and yet so detrimental, whether it's inside a marriage or outside as with a family member or a friend or a coworker or someone you went to school with, college with, whatever you did, whatever you've done with that relationship, if you've never known how to heal from it, you will reach a place where it is absolutely a hazard to be up close and personal to people. But because there's a biblical mandate to say, I've got to love people, okay, I love them from a distance. Yeah. That's beautiful. I love them from a distance. Can you do that? Well, it's not biblical. But yeah, can you do that? Sure, but it's not right. No. How do you get around that? How do you work through that?
Well, that attitude is being perpetuated throughout, we'll talk about the church, because the very thing that is causing church hurt, that's at the root of it, that attitude, because it releases you from the responsibility to just be an all-out love person following after Jesus. And thank goodness, Jesus, when I was at my worst, he came close to me at my most broken state. He came close to me. I mean, if anybody was, capable of being offended, if he was capable of being offended,
he'd have every reason to be.
Yeah, I would have been the star offender.
Sure.
And so, okay, so I hear this from people all the time. Ever since I became a Christian, I've really changed my life. I don't even do the stuff I used to do. I have shut the door on that. But, everybody treats me the same. Well, you know why? Because of that perpetuating attitude. We've already shut the door. Hey, we know you, bro. You're going to do the same thing.
That's exactly.
We don't have to invite you to the family picnics. We don't have to get you around our friends. And we sure don't want you around our kids. No, but hey, we love you, man. Mm-hmm. Hey, keep up the good work from a distance. It's that attitude. And then, so I can bring into balance. I heard this video preacher I was listening to on YouTube, I believe, and he was just going off on loving at a distance. And he was naming, and he had everybody into it. He was all into the message. And man, that turns me off, man, because I was that guy that people were loving from a distance. I was that guy. And, when you make these major changes in your life and you humble yourself before the Lord, you don't think the same way you used to. You don't believe the same way you used to. You have gotten to a place to where you've earned the trust of God to use you in mighty ways. So when we're preaching a message that it's okay to love people from a distance, man, that's dangerous, because people will take that message and run to the edges of the earth with it, and they will write you off. And then here's my other argument. Why even bring those messages up? Those messages aren't biblical.
They're not.
Jesus said, love your enemies. He said, do good to those who do bad to you.
Bless them.
Bless them.
And give.
And give to them, even when they've spitefully abused you. So where does that scripture fall in line with, but don't let them get close to you? Where does that? I don't get it.
In Luke 6, he starts off that chapter by having two encounters with the religious leaders, and what he did by doing a healing and healing a man with a withered hand. And he is so enraged, the religious leaders, that they hated him. Now, Jesus could have said, God, disciples, look at this. Prime example. I'm hated. I'm not going to love them back. They hate me. They want to kill me. They're enraged. We don't have, I would like to think the majority of our listeners and you and I don't have people out to kill us. Not to say that won't ever happen, but right now, there's no one that's showing a tremendous amount of hate and say, I'm enraged and I'm looking for a way to hurt you because of your belief or because of what you're saying or the life that you're living really outside yourself. And so Jesus knew. That's why he could say, love your enemies, because I'm loving them. So if I'm going to love them, you think you're off the hook? You think if I can love from a distance and I can love. And of course, it's a heart change. It's a mindset change. I heard this recently this week. People who do not have purpose will distract themselves with pleasure. What I see in the church or in the body is we have a lot of believers who've made a decision to follow Jesus or to live a life that's honorable, but they have no purpose. And therefore, the greatest challenge in the Christian walk is self, and being self-centered, self-focused, self-gratifying, self-dependent, self-reliant, all of that is self-centered. Purpose. And Jesus had a purpose when he came, and that was to rescue and redeem humanity and die for it. There was no room for him to love any other way but up close and personal. It's the only way he could.
Yeah, that was a good point. It's just difficult, I think, for a lot of people to come into fellowship with other believers when this attitude is kind of set. And I think about Nicodemus when he came to Jesus. Well, he was on the other side, He was with that other party. But Jesus was like, you got questions? What if he was like, no, you're on the team that's persecuting my guys. He gave access to his biggest critics. He was humbled before them, and he looked at them for who they could be and not for what they represented or what it appeared to represent. And if you believe that you changed and you believe that you've been through some rougher times in your life and you overcame it, then why do we have such a hard time believing that other people can? Why do we have such a hard time believing that people can change and they can be transformed. It's almost like we don't give enough credit to God, the Holy Spirit, the power of Jesus.
Oh, absolutely.
To transform people's lives. You know, like this guy one day at church, he was complaining about this other guy that had been going to church for years. I think you know this story. And it was so funny to me because he was complaining about the guy, and his biggest complaint was, man, did you know what he said? And he said something that was contrary to what this guy believed. Man, he's been going to church for 30 years. He ought to know better. What you think about that? And I said, well, brother, I said, have you ever thought about taking him out to lunch and kind of just seeing why he believes the way he believes? Have you ever thought about spending some time with him and encouraging him? Maybe he needs somebody he can look up to walk him through this maturity process that apparently you're already through. Have you ever thought about that? He's like, no, I didn't think about it
That's
like
good.
that. Well, I mean, I said the reason why he's saying that is because that's where he's at. It's like, why is that 2-year-old pitching a fit over in the corner? That's where he's at. He's not mature yet.
No. And you know, James, and I know this is a real big sidebar here, but take 2 encounters Jesus had with 2 different females. And we know it, the woman that caught in the act of adultery, the woman in Samaria that he met at the water, at the well. Both women, one was caught in the act. I mean, she was either, and I'm not sure, well, both, whoever she was either committing adultery or she was, in fact, married and was committing adultery or whatever. But anyway, notice that Jesus said, where are your accusers? Go and sin no more. He was showing grace and then telling her to walk it out. The woman at the well, she had been married 5 or 6 times, and the man she was with was not even her husband. So think about this for a minute. We know there's a lot of believers, a lot of Christians, a lot of people that have legitimate hurts and pains.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If you were one of the husbands that woman was married to, you'd be going, Jesus, you don't even want to waste your time with this woman.
She was probably even a home wrecker.
And probably, yeah, absolutely. We don't know. She may have went from one guy to the next guy, whatever. So she was leaving a trail, and Jesus could have said, hey, now listen, before you even think about never thirsting again for the water that I would serve you, we got to talk about your past. How many husbands did you hurt? You see what I'm saying? Where are they at? Let me ask them if you deserve grace, if you deserve mercy. Do you see what I'm saying? When Jesus said, hey, where are your accusers? I don't see any. Well, before I say go and sin no more, whose home did you just wreck that had children? Mm-hmm. So when it's close and up home, I mean, when it's far away and it's a scripture and it's about a story, it's real easy to go, oh, isn't that so beautiful? Jesus, look at you. You're just so precious.
The redemption he had for David.
Oh, my God. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what we're seeing is we know there are legitimate hurts and pains and scars and wounds that people who have done you wrongly, that have despitefully used you, or whatever the case, it does not mean that you have to stay wounded or broken or hurt or unforgiving. Matter of fact, you don't have a choice. Love and forgiveness go hand in hand, but you and I both know there are people out there that have been hurt. We both know that. We've been hurt. We've been betrayed. We've gone through it. Both
I've
inside
got a trophy.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Based on the stories you've shared with me, but you've been forgiven much.
Oh, yeah.
So you love much.
Yeah.
And so with that said, we're talking about a mindset, a heart that has purpose. There was a reason Jesus said, by this all men will know that you are my disciples, by the love you have for one another.
That's exactly right.
So,
well, and then there is a disclaimer. So the exception to the rule is if you're in a flat out abusive relationship, we're not talking about that. That's the exception.
Correct. Yes.
The rule is what we're talking about.
Yes.
The rule is being loving,
exactly,
kind, open to people changing,
sure,
open to having access to people, vice versa, both ways. But when it's an abusive relationship that is physical and demeaning and mentally, you can, by all means, break paths with that person, get away from that person, do your best. That person probably may need to be in jail. They need help. There's people that commit murder. We know that. We're not talking about these extreme cases.
No.
We're talking about the majority of people are not those people. The rule is that we have this innate ability to hold offense against people, and that should not be the rule. That should be the exception with the abuse and things like that. But in general, we're looking to how can we be an influence on someone when no one else has given them a chance. The salt of the earth, the light of the world. If you have a lamp, don't put it under the table. Put it on the top. We should be attracting people to want to be around us because of the love we have, and they should be asking us questions about Jesus. And we don't know about Jesus. Could you tell us about him? They're not going to go to the meanest person on the block and ask him about Jesus.
Right, and it's not. And we don't want our viewers to say, "Love." That's a big word. I can't wrap my mind around what that looks like for the people around me each and every day. Well, then let's start with this: who can you be kind to? Who can you say they need kindness today? I don't know them, so I don't know whether they deserve it or not. But I'm going to give it to them. I'm going to model patience or self-control. I'm going to model gentleness in a situation. They may not have a clue. You may not have a clue how to love them, but you showing gentleness just spoke volumes. So when we keep saying love, we're talking about love's expressions, joy and kindness and goodness and gentleness and self-control. Those are the things that stand out. Those are the things you can do. Just making a commitment. Lord, I really want to model what love looks like and its expressions. So I can be kind to someone today. A smile can put someone in.
Goes a long way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have the greatest example of love, the creator of the universe teaching us. That is the person you're going to get it from. So I encourage you to just pursue him.
Know him.
I did hear a video pastor the other day that I was impressed with.
Okay.
And he said this. He said, if you want to learn Spanish, the best way to learn is go to a place they speak Spanish. If you want to learn French, go to a place they speak French. If you want to learn how God speaks, go hang out with God.
That's good.
And learn how he is.
James, that's really good. Man.
Well, I stole it. So.
Okay. Well, let's talk more about this next time.
Yeah.
We hope this episode of the Called to Love podcast has enriched your life and offered valuable principles to apply on your personal journey. Please explore our website at www.calledto.love for more information and to share your feedback with us. Until our next episode, may you find peace and love. And always remember, you are called to love.